Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bazil. A little bit of a spur of the moment video here. I was about to go to bed, and we got some confirmation about the new item that was talked about in the Nexus report this past week, and that was 9914 for those of you who are looking for the date. And the item drops off the last boss of Genetic Archives and completes the attunement all the way up to Datascape for whoever uses it. And Jen Gordy confirmed that it is bind on equipped. And unfortunately, this has stirred up a lot of issues and debate on the forums. Huge thread regarding this. It kind of blew up. And the community is a little bit upset, and I kind of want to go over a little bit why the upset is a little bit justified, I think. The key itself will allow anyone to use this item. And because it's bind on equipped, you can give it to an alt, you can give it to a brand new 50, you can set it on the auction house, and it will completely negate any needing of the genetic archive attunement process. It goes all the way to Datascape. So this means that in the future, you can stockpile up on these and get a fresh group of 20 players attuned without having to go through any of these silver dungeons or the bronze veteran dungeons. You don't have to kill any of the world bosses. You don't have to grind for rep. You don't have to do any of this kind of stuff. And that's actually a problem with a lot of people. And I'm kind of on the fence on this one, honestly. I saw this happen in World of Warcraft, and it actually was a good thing because attunements really kind of gate content and really force players into grinding to a lot of things that might not be necessary, like rep grinding world bosses. I don't really think those two are necessary, but it is absolutely damn necessary for a player to go through veteran dungeons in this game because the combat is so difficult and the learning curve is extremely high. Yeah, leveling will get you there eventually, but it'll take you a lot longer to learn the game and the actual combat itself through just leveling. I mean, the mobs and the AI for leveling are pretty easy to deal with. You just bring some CCs with you, and it's pretty much an AoE grind fest when it comes to leveling. It's not really not that difficult. And a lot of the community is very upset about this new change to the key that's dropping. Is it really negates a lot of the hard work that the rest of us have gone through and tried to actually bring about the rating. And I think that this is going to be talked about for a long time, and I'm not sure if Carbine will change this. We did say, or I said, excuse me, in the last few videos that I've released, that we need to really cater to the casual players. And again, I've said this, and so I need to stick by my word. And I definitely agree that this is a good business decision, absolutely great business decision, because this is going to allow certain players that might not be able to see the 20 and 40 man content, at least the first two raids, to allow them to actually see it. And of course, it's going to be on the auction house for probably a couple hundred plat, depending on how the market goes. And this will generate more money for Carbine because you can buy cred and get plat that way, and plat prices are obviously going to go up on cred once mega servers come about. And this is going to drive up a little bit more PR for them because they are changing their ways a little bit. They're not focusing on the hardcore aspect of the game. And that's actually very important because I think it's needed for the game's longevity and the game to survive. But at the same time, I want to say that as someone who's done the attunement process, it is a little upsetting because we've gone through all this process, grinded out the dungeons, grinded out all this stuff, and now players can simply just bypass everything and go right to it. Now, the only block to this really is going to be how much is this going to be worth in the auction house? Are players going to be willing to pay for it? Obviously, that's going to be the case, and is it going to affect the rating and the way that the actual content is produced? I honestly don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a big of a deal as everyone's really making it out to be. I think that the initial shock reaction is, oh my gosh, this is a terrible decision. Why is this not fair? Blah, blah, blah. And I think the main reason is it's not fair to a lot of people. And that's okay because, if you work for something and then you see Bill Joe over here get it for half the price or free because he's the fifth customer and you were only the fourth, well, that can be a little bit unfair in your mind, and that's completely acceptable. But I feel that from a business decision, this did have to happen. And I want to commend Carbine for kind of showing some brass, if you will, and saying, you know what, this is probably not going to go over well with the community, but from a decision on making the game's longevity and making the game survive, it needs to happen. And I think that as long as they keep the attunement there and they don't just remove it completely, because I think that's what really killed WoW's difficulty, was they didn't force players into really learning the game. I mean, the looking for raid tool was just an eyesore. Carbine, if you guys ever add that, I don't do it. Not a good idea. Just not a good idea. It's just not. And I really feel that the casual side of the community is probably going to enjoy this more than those of us who are more of the quote-unquote hardcore and don't mind the attunement process. Again, I don't think the attunement process is all that well done, but, I don't think that it's going to be the end of the world and completely ruin the game like everyone is freaking out and going crazy over. Jazzy, I know that's going to piss you off for me saying this, but hey, you know what? I think that it's a smart business decision, and overall, Carbine is making the call to save their game, and, you got to commend them for that. But just wanted to make this short video about this because I felt it was really important to cover it now, and I think that it just needed to be talked about, at least from my point of view. So that's it, guys. God bless. Have a wonderful evening, morning, or afternoon, and I'll see you in Nexus. Also, don't forget, be nice to the devs. They're working hard. They're trying. So give them a high five whenever you see them. Peace.